All right. Hello, everybody. This is our weekly team member spotlight. This is going to be a great session with a person who's been with us for a very, very long time. He's a relationship, not transactions guy. I can tell you, like I've built my own personal relationship with him. Even though he's been here for a while, him and I have really developed our personal relationship over the last 18 months. Gus Andrade. Am I pronouncing it right?
Andrade, yeah,
Andrade. All right.
Andrade, yeah. We'll
So
take it.
Gus, how are you today? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I am feeling great. Very excited to be here.
You look great, man. We got to start with the health journey. I mean, like that's like to me, you're somebody when I think of like going through a transformation, you've really gone through it over these last 18 months. So let's tell everybody, kind of before and after, where were you when you started on your health journey? Where are you today? And what's inspired you to go down this path?
Man, so I made a post with you included on Facebook, right? So I actually started my health journey, I would say seriously, like maybe 2024, and it kind of was like a little roller coaster. So I didn't have it in place. I didn't have anything that I was following. I was just kind of like, I knew I had to get better. What really started, I'll just kind of be open about it, is my brother passed away in October 2023, and he passed away of cirrhosis. And 6 months later, and this is something that I don't really share a lot, but I used to hide it from people, and now it's not. So 6 months later, after he passed, I ended up getting diagnosed with cirrhosis myself.
Wow.
And yeah, it's Nash, but that's all the part of the reason too why I decided to be completely sober, just go sober that time. And so even though Nash is with an alcoholic, but it's still the same thing. And so that really kind of made my decision to be healthier, because it's not just about quitting. It was not just about being sober. It was also about getting healthy. I'm also at that time I was diabetic, but
Wow.
I was overweight. I had a lot of going against me. And so when I started that journey, it was just kind of like I didn't know really. There was no like plan that I was following. I was just kind of figuring things out on myself. And then in July, like I started reading a book, Atomic Habits. I knew that like that book kind of like it made me decide that I need to get better at everything that I was doing, or just kind of build a system, just get better with my habits so that I can make a change. Because the one thing I was doing well, I was on the sobriety part, but again, everything else was not like I didn't really work out that much. I woke up early. I wanted to work out, but then in July, I'll be honest, like I drank again, and
Wow.
it just tasted a little bit, and it was not a lot. I didn't, it was just kind of
July
was
of what
stressed out.
year?
2024.
Got it.
So the same year that I went sober. So I went sober in April 1st.
So
Or
let's go this timeline. Your
yeah,
brother passed away when?
October 2023.
Okay, so your brother passed away in October 2023. Six
Yeah,
months later, so like April 2024, you get diagnosed with cirrhosis, which is the same thing your
correct.
brother passed away from.
Correct. Yeah. And my brother
You,
was a heavy drinker, like beer drinker when he passed. So like he had it too. So yeah. And then I went sober that
but
same
then,
year.
then in July, you fell off the wagon and you start drinking again.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I started drinking heavily. It was just like here and there I would go to restaurants or something, order a beer. And I was kind of like, yeah, I did. I was not proud of it, but it wasn't something that wanted to tell everybody either. And then I went through a separation. My separation started right around that like September, October, and that's kind of what made I was really unhappy and with my life, and it led to the separation, and that's when I didn't really pick up the drinking that heavily anymore. But then it towards when I separated, I moved away from my kids. That's really when I really decided, like, what am I going to do here? Like, I got a lot of people tell me, oh, you should, you're single, do whatever single people do, or no one really gave me the other option. And so I didn't want to do that, go out to bars and, start doing that part. So, cause I knew that I shouldn't be drinking. So, I think I mentioned this to you where I ended up in the hospital, man. I was just because I already had the cirrhosis part. I drank a couple of beers one night, and it started like, yeah. And so I ended up in the hospital, and that's kind of what made my decision happen. He's like, either I'm gonna choose to live or I'm gonna choose the same path. And I don't want to put my brother down because I knew he was going through some stuff too. But I'm like, I can choose what my brother did. And at that point, I was like, I got to choose life because I have kids and I got to, do something about this. So, and that's literally what that day in the hospital. And is when I kind of made my decision. But what really ultimately is made my like solidify my decision was a couple weeks, like maybe 2 weeks after I was released from the hospital. I was there for a week. I had like blood transfusions and all that. So
Wow.
I went to see a hepatologist, a liver specialist. The same doctor was there. They was gonna, do possible do a transplant on my brother. She told me if you continue your lifestyle, off and off drinking, and you're eating like garbage and not taking care of yourself, your diabetes, your blood sugar was way too high. It's like I give you at most 5 years. And
Wow.
whether that was true or not, it really was a slap in the face. Like it was a reality check. Like, oh my god, like here I made my decision. I'm good for it. But then when she told me that, that was like really serious. I was like, okay, so what can I do? And she was like, just get healthy. Do as best as you can because even if you are a transplant recipient, you still need to be healthy. You can't just go from like a new organ to going backwards. The way that you were before. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. I'm gonna lie, and I just decided right there and then. I was already starting to go into the gym, so like I had already been going to the gym. Like I did the whole like atomic habits thing. Like the atomic habits takes about 10 minutes a day. I did 30. I was like 30 minutes a day. I got to go every day. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, I was there. Still no plan in place. I just kind of looked and just kind of saw what people were doing, and I figured that out. The eating came later, um, and so yeah, again, that's when I focused on my health. Focused on everything that I was doing, like everything from the way I was eating, to I learned how to eat. That's pretty much it. Because I was eating healthy, but even then, because of my diabetes, I was like, I have to eat better in a better. I have to eat pretty much. Yeah, I learned how to eat. So I started eating fiber first, and protein, fat, and then carbs, and that's how I eat every day now. And so that really was changed. My my health. And then honestly, I started reading more books, and that kind of changed my mindset. And I because it was hard. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. The sobriety part was I'm not gonna anybody that's going through it. I don't want to make it seem like it's easy because it's not. It wasn't easy. But this time around for me was a reality check that I was like I'm not even gonna come close to that. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to be around it. But I did put myself in front of I still go to restaurants and stuff like that. But oh,
I can hear you good.
okay. And so that was the yeah. So then I got that in order. So the eating part came, and then the reading books changed my mindset. And so where I was like, you were talking about a book that in our daily sales huddle, the Slight Edge. You actually recommended that book about 18 months ago when we first talked about it, and I read it, and it kind of made me realize it was a little bit of both, like work related, but also like I got to keep doing it, right? I don't see the results. It's not like I got muscular right away. I'm not even that muscular, but the losing the fat and the losing the weight, or my appearance, right? Everything came slowly, but I just kept at it because I'm like, I don't see the difference. I'm still like, I used to make fun of my own self because I always thought I looked like SpongeBob. I had like skinny arms, and I was like, man, my arms aren't getting any bigger. I don't, I mentioned that, and so to you before, and so I was like, my arms are still small. I don't see the change. What the hell am I even going to the gym for? And just keep at it. That was one of the things. Just keep at it. Eating more protein. And realize that actually does help in getting more muscle. And so eventually, you started seeing results. I started feeling a lot better. So it's not like I went from like a health like overnight change.
Yeah.
Like it's literally your mindset changes. You feel better. You wake up happier. You wake up more positive. Like I'm happy to every day I wake up, and I'm thankful that I'm still alive because I made the decision. So fast forward last year in October, or even this in March. So I got good news. Like they were like, you can't even be on the transplant list because you are too healthy.
Wow.
So
So your cirrhosis went away?
so it's not that it didn't go away. So like my liver is kind of like I maintain the health of my liver that it is now. So right now it's fine. So I don't think you can ever reverse cirrhosis because it's like a scar tissue. But I mean, the doctors were like, yeah, we can't really consider you because you're living a healthy lifestyle. And so my diabetes went away. Everything from the running like helped from lifting weights. Everything kind of helped, kind of, and I know that people, I don't know if people know that, but I kind of got rid of I'm pre-diabetic at this moment. So yeah, I don't really take my medication anymore because it's all about eating the right things and exercising and living that lifestyle. So
So let's let's
yeah,
let's let's. I mean, we can look at this and just say, I mean, I think this is an incredible story, and it correlates to everything. But I mean, basically, in October 2024, you were, or Q4 of 2024, you were hospitalized in a really bad place. Your doctor had told you had maybe 5 years to live based upon your current habits.
no, that was in February of 2025.
So February 2025. So we're just talking like literally like a year, 15 months ago, 16 months
Yeah,
ago. So February 2025, you're overweight, you have cirrhosis of the liver, you're diabetic, your doctor's telling you have 5 years to live. And this is after your brother passed away. And so you
yeah,
make the decision, you say, hey, I'm going, reality check is here. I'm choosing life. You start reading Atomic Habits. You start to slowly focus on your health through workouts, eating healthy, start running, doing some incremental things, and then you start feeling better. So you do more of the things that made you feel better. Fast forward, you're no longer on, a liver transplant list because you've gotten to a healthy place. You've lost a whole bunch of weight. You're no longer taking your diabetes medicine because you've, done what you need to do to not take the medicine because you're in such a healthy place. What's been your biggest, when you look back at this period of time, what's your biggest learning lesson?
it's a good question. I would say that it's okay to admit to yourself that you don't know what you're doing at first, but you don't know what you're doing. Like waking up and thinking, I think that's one of the things that when I first wanted to change, I thought that I had to know the right answer. I remember I put a post on Facebook asking people, hey, if you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, what's the first thing you do every day? So I was looking for the right answer, for the right, like the right path, but because I felt like I needed to know that before I changed my life. And I feel like admitting to that was that I didn't know what I was doing, but it's just a learning process. It's like you just have to make a decision and then stick it through. And then as you brought this up too before, and it's just you can't perfect it initially, right? You perfect it as you go. And I feel like that's my biggest learning lesson. It's just acknowledging to yourself that you don't have to know everything up front to start change, to start something, to progress, whether it's life or your business or anything. Yeah, you don't have to have all the right answers up front.
How has this impacted your relationship with your kids, the way that you feel about yourself, and, you know, the way that you wake up every day and the way that you go about your life? How has this process, impacted you to the person you are today?
So I have a better relationship with my kids. Um, well, it's a little biased, right? Because I like to say that, but I feel like it's true because when the text messages they come and then we talk all the time, it's very positive, and it's not that there can't be any negative situations, but it's all good. We're it's an open communication channel, so they share struggles, they share positive stuff. I do the same with them. I don't mind sharing with them like that. I didn't feel like going to the gym today, or this week sucked, or so this is a hard day. They're my friends on Instagram, so they see all my posts. So if I have a hard day and I post about it, they see it, and I don't mind sharing that. So like I'm very open because I want them to also know that it goes both ways. So I feel like that's growing. In terms of like my, uh, I wake up happy every day, and it's not like I don't want to say like, and I feel like it's not like I wake up and all bright and cheerful every day. Oh my god, life is good. No, there's days when we wake up it's hard. Like I didn't want to go to the gym a couple days last week, and or even run, and like well actually I have an injury, but before even during we wake up when it's hard. So one of the things I started practicing is gratitude. So I started writing things every day that I was thankful for. It was really hard at first. I will tell you that because the easy one is, oh, I'm alive. Everybody says that. Be thankful that you're alive. We all say that, but we don't really believe it. We don't accept it. So that was like one that I was like, all right, I'm gonna write that down. And eventually you get so good at it. It's like a muscle, right? You have to work on it, and you just like now I could probably start writing and then just keep going for a long time of all the things that you're thankful for because you practice it. And then you start realizing I have the right things. I have the things that I appreciate in life. I have my health, my kids, and my family, and those are the first things that I write down, and then everything else like comes later. Well, in my job too, right? In this being in this industry.
But I think I think that's a practice that I've just kind of taken that on over the last couple of years, and I think one of the biggest changes, at least for me, with practicing gratitude is like it just puts a lot of things in perspective because if you practice gratitude to start your day before you do these hard things, whether it's workout, whether it's work, whether it's any of the things that can be hard, but you're doing it from a place of gratitude, it's like you do it with more purpose. It becomes a little bit you enjoy it. You have more like connection with it. And I think for you, I've seen it over this last year with your just engagement in the organization, your engagement with me, your personal health journey, the run clubs you're going on, the exercises you're doing. Like I just see you like the things that are used to be hard for you, you really you love them, you enjoy them. And I would imagine gratitude has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We see videos on Instagram every day about people practicing gratitude. I didn't believe it. I was like, all right, what? And then I reread, everything that a lot of things that I've done in my life have gone through because of books that I've read, right? So our branch read The Gap in the Gain, and that's one of the things it talks about gratitude. And I started writing things down. I wake up, like it sucks, but because I started also writing down, like there was a time where I was injured, I actually fell and bruised my ribs, and it hurt so bad that I started like every when I would wake up, I would rate my pain from 1 to 10, and then just it would go down, and I wouldn't have realized it, how good I felt when the pain went away if I didn't have that if I didn't have my rating to reflect on, because then I'm like, hey, my pain's at 1, and there was a day where I woke up, I didn't even realize that I didn't even have the pain anymore, but just like 2 weeks ago I still had the pain, and that part allowed me to realize, like, where I've been and where I'm at. And then I just realized, hey, you know what? I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm still very thankful for it. And it allows me to share that with others, And then you kind of people have noticed it that I hang around with, and friends and even real estate agents that I work with and I friended. I get messages like, you really are, thank you for motivating me and all that stuff. So I feel like I don't do it like intentionally to like, hey, you should go to the gym with me and all that, but I always try to encourage people because I've been through, the downs. So I people catch on, and then and that's one of the things too that I like about it is that people start opening up and they relate to you, and then you almost use that as fuel, because then you're happy for others that they're going through some type of change, and it doesn't have to be the exact same journey that I'm on, but it's nice to know that people are looking to progress in life, and they use as like, hey, thank you for encouraging me, or for that. So that kind of feels really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think one of the things that, you've helped me with this. We've been focusing on kind of cultivating this internal culture at UMortgage that's focused on health. And, I see these improvements in people's lives. Like, obviously I've lived it, getting my health better. And the way that, sobriety has impacted my life, the way being, losing weight and having healthy habits has impacted my life. But I think one of the things that like really kind of once you experience this, you want other people to experience it. And that's where this journey can turn into a journey of service. And like I was explaining it to one of my friends this morning, is like I have a friend of mine who's like a heavy, heavy drinker and is like I've seen him kind of go, get unhealthy over the last couple of years. And I don't bring up the alcohol, I don't bring up any of that stuff when I talk to him. I just talk to him like, hey man, like let's get you healthy. Let's focus on. He's like, well, what should I do? I don't feel like going to the gym. I was like, well, I'm going to send you a weighted vest, and why don't we FaceTime and we'll walk together at the same time every day. So the first couple of days, I tried him in the morning. He told me he was all in and doesn't answer his phone, so I know he's sleeping. So then I try him at night, and we start getting on this cadence where I'm FaceTiming him after work, and he puts on the weighted vest, and like, it's one of those things where like I'm indirectly trying to help this guy get healthy, but at the end of the day it's like I care about him so much that like I know what being healthy will do for his outlook on life and his motivation and how he works and all those things. So for you, like, as you've built your community both there locally in Chicago of your friends that you're doing your health journey with, and then in you mortgage, how, what would you say to somebody that might be on the outside looking in and wants to get healthy and they know they need to get healthy, but they haven't taken those first steps? Like, what advice would you have for them?
I think it all comes to them making that decision, right? And that decision, like I need to get better or I want to get better, and then making that decision that you know be, you want it and you're gonna do what it takes. You may not know, and I go back to the whole part about not knowing how to do it, but asking others that have already been through it. And I think that you have to be humble enough and no, but also accept that. Well, I'll get to that in a second, but humble enough to ask for help, right? Because the person you might ask might have already been through that and might be somewhere where you feel like, oh, I'm not there yet. Depends on where you want to end up. But also, no one that's been through it is ever going to reject the help to help you. And I feel like it's acknowledging that you want to change and then moving forward with that decision and accepting that it's going to be hard. You mentioned to me when you were here, we went out to eat, like I was sharing a personal struggle, and then you said you got to fall in love with the hard because I this was not you learn working out and getting up every day to do it is not easy. It was hard in the very beginning, and now it's just part of my life. Just like we have to brush our teeth, I get up, I do my ritual, I go work out and run. So it's part of that. So what I was getting to is just we know it's going to be hard and accepting it, and it just even if from the very beginning, it's not easy, but just knowing that you don't may not know what to do sometimes, and know accepting that it's going to be hard and go through it no matter what, and yeah, sticking through it. The decision I would say is that, and know that it's going to be slow. And I think a lot of people expect a rapid change in terms of life. We always want that quick change, and it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen like that. And so that is the other thing too. As long as you stick to it, you'll see the result. Just like we eat cheeseburger every day. We're not going to get fat the same day. We're not going to gain 10 pounds at the end of the week. But 30, 60 days later, we're going to see the results. So it's the same way if you initiate something that is going to be good for you. You may not see the result tomorrow or a week, but like you're going to see it in 30 days, 30 to 60 days. You're going to see the results.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is like it's just it takes so much longer than you think it's going to take. And I think for a lot of people, like for me, what I was lucky with, and I think maybe for you as well, is part of going through sobriety is like, you have a like you have to replace a bad habit with a good habit. So like, you used to drink and that used to take up this much time per day. All of a sudden you go sober, you have more time. And then you need to fill it with something. Otherwise you're going to go back to the thing you're trying to
Yeah.
get away from. So I filled it with my health habit. So to me, it was like, yes, I was getting fitter and healthier, but at the same time, I was also getting away from the thing I was trying to get away from. And I think for some people, they might not have that bad habit. They might not have an alcohol addiction or something like that. So I think the perspective is like you have to want to do what you're going to do. Like it can't just be for an outcome. It has to be like, hey, I'm going to walk daily because this helps me sleep better, or I'm going to walk daily because when I get done walk, I have a lot of time in my own head and I get my thoughts out. Or you know what, you habit stack like they talk about in Atomic Habits, and I'm going to walk and I'm going to listen to a book for 10 minutes, and it's only going to be 10 minutes a day, but it's my 10 minutes alone. So it's like you got to kind of like find a reason why you're doing it other than just the outcome, because the outcome takes a long time to get to. Like, I mean, you look amazing today, but for a while, I'm sure you sat there and were like, man, like I don't feel like I'm getting the results.
Absolutely. I think that's the other reason I would encourage if somebody's going to go through some kind of or wants to go through, just document it, whether it's pictures or write it down. Like whatever it is that you want to get better at. Like sleeping for me was, I thought I had everything covered, but not until I got my Whoop. And you were bringing up the fact that I don't know if you saw, you were probably,
Yeah,
I don't know if you, can you see it? My sleep sucked,
it's not.
and
It
that's
wasn't
where,
good.
yeah. And once I started sleeping better, I had more energy to work out. I was working out harder, I was doing things. I was working more efficiently during my work day. I had the energy to work. Where I thought, just like we think like sleep less. You gotta show the grit. You're like, I'm a hard worker, because you're always working or sleeping, whatever, less. But it's not the truth, right? And so I feel like there's a little bit of every. Some people might just need to work on their sleep, not
Yeah,
necessarily give up alcohol or something. Or it could be their food, the diet that they eat. Everything impacts us. So, and I will tell you that even eating McDonald's feels the next day you feel sluggish.
yeah, hundred
I had
percent.
that. Yeah, I mean, I had McDonald's not the other day, but a couple weeks ago, and yeah, then I woke up feeling like I had a hangover.
Yeah, so true.
So,
It's so true. So for you right now, Gus, like, for every one of the things, like when I came out to Chicago a couple months ago, one of the things that really was a great takeaway for me about you is when you talked about how you go about building relationships. And I really like it stuck with me, and it just like I knew the relationship I had with you, but I didn't know what were doing behind the scenes, because like you're not one of those people where you're looking for a pat on the back or making a big deal about things. You just kind of go about your business and you build relationships. And one thing you said is like, yeah, when we get a new LOA or a new process there, I'll give them a call and I'll, introduce myself. I won't talk about the loans or any of that stuff. Like, I just want them to know that, like, who I am, and, I've been here for a while, and, this is how we can work together and talk through things. And I just like, I remember sitting there and hearing you talk about that approach is like, I just try to approach everybody and focus on the relationship. And I think like that's what relationships, not transactions, is about. It's not about the outcome. It's not about getting something for somebody. It's like I'm going to invest time in you because I genuinely care. So where does that come from, and what is your why behind that?
the I guess the truth would be comes from just we are going through something, right? And during their job that we do, I would say it's we're expected to do our job no matter what. But everybody behind the scenes, behind their job, they have something going on, whether they have kids, and it's not that kids is a bad thing, but they have a story behind them. And once you get to know them, then you kind of appreciate everything they do. Like if you like we had of there's a process that I got to know, and she has kids. And one time she took the phone call. She was on the phone with me driving her kids to I'm sorry, an LOA, oh, a processor. She was driving her kids to practice, and while on the phone with me trying to work, and I didn't mind at all, but we were trying to figure out a file, but she was apologizing. But it's like that right there made her a superstar for me because she was doing that, and it's not that you have to do that. That's the only time I acknowledge somebody's by working hard. But sometimes it's just in general. Like I ask the people, like, do you have kids? What are their names? I may not remember their names. I need to get better at that. But it's just like I get to know them so that way, they know that you actually care. So like, hey, are you available at the moment, or how are things? I know we have an LOA, and I'll bring up her name, and she actually made me, just like everybody has an impact on somebody. She told me that she never misses a sunset. I mean, sunrise. And then you were there when I took a picture of this of the sun when we were at the running in the treadmills, because I wanted to share that. I was like to her because it was a thing, and now it makes me appreciate a sunrise more because a conversation that her and I had about it. And now you just start like realizing if I hadn't taken that time to acknowledge that or from her, we wouldn't have that, share some type of interest. And I feel like that's important, whether not to because you're trying to get something out of somebody, but generally because you want to show somebody that you care. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
So for you, what is your, I mean, you've been in the mortgage business for a while. What's your biggest like translation from this personal health journey into your work? Like when you think about what you've gone through, do you ever think about like, man, like there's such a correlation between personal health and the health of a business and the actions that you can take in either one of those things to drive improvement?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we talked about this. We when you were here running, the hardest thing we're gonna do all day is the workout. Everything
Yeah.
else becomes easier, right? So when you go through that, you acknowledge that it's like if you do the really like there's yeah, if we do the hard thing, we're going to be able to apply it in everything else that we do. So we know discipline. We have to go to bed. I have to go to bed by 8:30 so I can wake up at 5 o'clock so I can do my long run on Saturday morning. So I don't go out Friday night. So that's that I know. It used to be where I would negotiate that part. Where, oh, should I do something tonight's Friday? I got to do something. Now it's like I don't care what it's I have to go to bed at that time. So it's a discipline and it carries over because you're like, if I don't do this, as a matter of fact, I just had this bad experience right now this week because I didn't apply the same discipline that I normally would on two of my files. It caught delays because of that, like pushing it back. But now I know like I have to continue to apply this to my daily to my work, and eventually it correlates to it because you know what you need to do what you and what you don't need to do or not to do to make it work, or to help a client or build a relationship with a real estate agent, or with a client. So I think I said that, but yeah, I feel like it really correlates to everything we do, the habits that we put in place, and just the discipline that we have, for ourselves, the health journey, right? So just like we have to wake up at a certain time to go work out, we know that we have to do this in order for the file to get through. So I am, and I'll tell you what, one of the things I'm going to drop this in here is, I feel like, when I looked at people that were in their health journey already, I feel like they had their shit together. Excuse me for swearing at them, but that's literally what I used to feel. And then meeting other people that were already runners or workout super healthy people, it's like getting to know them, and they're like, and I kind of asked them, I'm like, hey, do you seem like you have all your stuff together? Like, no, we all still struggle. We're all, but the difference is, back then, before I was who I am now, is that I didn't care about getting better. Now I do. Like now I know that I have to get better. So I see the faults. Okay, if I want to run a little faster, if I want to lift a little bit heavier, I need to eat more protein, or I need to do this more. And I need, for my job, if I want to close loans faster, if I want to have a better process for my clients, I need to get better at this, the communication part. So you start acknowledging it, and then you start implementing it. So,
Yeah.
and now I tell you that is that 100% you can take from the health part to your work part, and I see it. I see it with people that I meet, like, and so yeah, I
That's
feel like
awesome.
it's yeah.
I mean, it's an awesome correlation, and the fact that you're living it and you can reflect on it and see those connections is awesome. All right, man. Well, I got two more questions for you. First question is, of our core values, what core value specifically for you do you connect with the most, or are you currently feeling super energized about in your personal life and your work life?
It's gonna sound cliche because you brought it up at the very beginning, but it's relationship, not transaction. I feel like that really you could apply that to anything, right? To any relationship that you have, not just a business perspective, but it also with the family. I feel like if you really, really want something, for good for somebody, you just really got to genuinely show you care, whether it's your kids. And it's not you're trying to get your kid to clean their room. It's like, I want to show you why, this is important. And I feel like that's something that I'm really understanding. Because before it was like, just, I don't want just the money from an agent or from a loan that closes. That's what I thought more of a business perspective. But I think now I can apply it to my relationships, my actual relationships, not just work relationships. So I feel like that's the one that kind of it really right now I'm living that one. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. All right. So last question for you is, second half of the year. What's your biggest health goal? What's your biggest thing that your challenge that you're going to do that you're looking forward to?
So we're doing the Philly half, in November. So that was my challenge for the second, but I ended up with the run club that I'm in. I actually won a bibs. This is what they call an entry to a marathon or any type of race, for the Chicago Marathon in October.
Wow.
So I'm going to be running in the Chicago Marathon October 11th, a month before the Philly half. So I'm in the process of training now, but I actually have, yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to that. It's something that I saw a video the other day, where the guy talks about like when you run a marathon and you finish it, you feel like anything is possible in life. And I feel like I felt like that after finishing my first half marathon, a couple of weeks ago, the Chicago one. And I really, man, I just ran 13 miles. I could not in my life ever think that I would run more than a mile. We all joke around in the people in the chat group that we have, like, who would ever thought we'd all be runners, right? It's 40 something of us or 50 something of us running the half marathon. And not everybody's a runner. I just became a runner myself. So, but once you complete that finish line, you're like, what is something else that I want to do now? Maybe, a triathlon, Ironman. I don't know, man. Honestly, those are the things that I think about. I don't know. I'm not a good swimmer, but I mean, it's not, it would just be making that decision. I'm afraid to make that decision because then I got to keep it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's awesome,
yeah,
man. Well, congratulations. I mean, dude, that we're all going to be rooting you on for the Chicago Marathon. Obviously, we'll see you for the Philly Half Marathon in November, but
thank you.
you're doing awesome, man. Congratulations on this transformation. It's super inspiring, and I think the very best is still to come. And I'm happy you chose life, man.
Absolutely.
It's awesome to see and awesome to be part of.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right,
Always good to
everybody.
have you.
Thank you for watching this interview with Gus. Great interview and great team member spotlight. I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Have a great rest of the day and thank you.